If you think the baby boomer era was just about drive-ins and rock and roll, buckle up. There's a hidden side to these years that rarely gets mentioned. Stories of cunning marketing tactics, hush-hush controversies, and cultural shifts that shape generations to come. Ready to discover what most people never knew? Let's dive straight in. Early entertainment and community hubs. Drive-in theaters, the lost romance picture. The soft glow of neon as families and couples rolled up to massive outdoor screens. Drive-in theaters weren't just about catching a film. They created a sense of unity, where every car was its own little bubble under the stars. People often forget the hush-hush rumors about why these classic venues nearly vanished. Some say a few big cinema chains quietly lobbied for more land for multiplexes, capitalizing on real estate booms. Others suspect the rise of TV forced drive-ins out. Either way, a slice of Americana slipped away in the process, leaving behind wistful memories and endless speculation about whether they might make a real comeback. Jukeboxes and soda fountains, the heartbeat of teen culture. For teens of the boomer era, few things compared to the thrill of dropping a coin into a jukebox at the local soda fountain. Amid the hiss of carbonated drinks and the chatter of friendly gossip, the jukebox would spin top hits that drew everyone into a shared excitement. These spots served as casual meeting places where friendships flourished and first crushes blossomed. But behind the cheery glow, legends whisper that certain record labels only allowed specific songs in popular jukeboxes, ensuring their artists stayed on top while lesser-known musicians got sidelined. Whether or not those tales are true, baby boomers still recall how these communal hangouts shaped entire social circles. The old ways of having fun didn't just vanish, they evolved. And some say they were quietly pushed aside by new technology and bigger corporate interests. That's where it gets interesting. Controversial shifts in technology. TV antennas wrestling the signal. Long before binge-watching existed, adjusting a TV antenna was part game, part frustration. Someone had to climb onto the roof, carefully rotating the metal rods, hoping the neighbors weren't running their blender at the same time. Weather often had the final say. Storms, clouds, and random interference turning clear pictures into staticky ghosts. Conspiracy buffs claim that some companies intentionally made these antennas wear out faster, boosting sales year after year. Whether that's rumor or truth, one thing's certain. This era taught people to fight for their entertainment, literally twisting and turning for the perfect broadcast. Midnight sign-off, when TV slept. Imagine the shock younger viewers would feel today if all channels simply turned off at midnight, complete with a patriotic theme song and a test pattern. But that was standard practice when TV wasn't a 24-hour business. Some say the stations found it too expensive to run shows all night. Others believe strict government regulations forced sleep hours. Either way, baby boomers often use the sign-off as their cue to head to bed or face a monotone buzz on the screen. Rotary phones and operators, the gossip gatekeepers. The rotary phone. Each spin of the dial was a small commitment, especially when you misdialed near the last digit and had to start over. But the real hush-hush element? Operators. These behind-the-scenes connectors occasionally overheard private calls, leading to rumors that they knew half the town's secrets. There's also talk that phone companies cashed in on the frustration of long-distance fees, since every accidental call or misdial spelled more revenue. Today, it sounds wild that a human needed to physically link calls, but for boomers, it was all part of everyday life. Transition. Even as technology advanced, consumer habits became the new playground for controversies. And that's where the next chapter takes an intriguing turn. Hidden stories behind household mainstays. Typewriters versus computers. Tech feuds of the early age. The clackety-clack of typewriters once defined offices and classrooms. Many know that computers overtook them, but fewer realize companies behind word processors allegedly struck deals to bundle certain software, blocking smaller rivals from entering the market. Boomers who remember that era might also recall having to master each new device just to keep up with job requirements. In this frantic race, it's rumored that some typewriter giants tried to pivot into computer hardware, only to be edged out by more agile startups. The result? A battlefield littered with defunct brands and the first glimpses of the digital monopoly wars. Fax machines, the office spy tool. Faxes once represented cutting-edge communication. Feed the document in, dial a number, and beep. Your message travels instantly, or so it seemed. The lesser-known talk was that some offices use fax logs to keep tabs on who was sending what, sometimes even intercepting sensitive info. Baby boomers working in corporate settings recall hearing rumors about faxes going missing if they contained unwelcome details. That's not to say every office was shady, but the potential for behind-the-scenes meddling was real enough to spark office gossip everywhere. Five and dime stores, driven out by big retail Ben Franklin, Woolworth, Crest. These humble shops sold everything from candy to kitchenware at bargain prices. But as big box superstores sprouted up, many of these old-school retailers claimed they were undercut by massive buying power. Some store owners insisted larger chains intentionally opened new locations right across the street, drawing away foot traffic until the five and dime was forced to close. The result? Many main streets saw their beloved variety shops vanish, replaced by monolithic storefronts. Baby boomers learned to accept as the new norm. Household traditions and community shops weren't the only aspects overshadowed by progress. Baby boomers also had lifestyles that prompted quiet controversy. Let's see what else lurked beneath the surface. Shocking transitions in media and music. Radio to cassette tapes? A corporate power play? When cassettes emerged, radio stations worried about losing listeners who could now record and replay songs at will. Whispers floated around that major radio networks tried restricting what songs got aired, or how often, to prevent people from easily compiling complete albums at home. Cassette tapes also sparked the beloved practice of making mixtapes, an act of pure creativity that some record labels labeled piracy. For many boomers, the real scandal was how fast corporations scrambled to profit, capitalizing on the new technology while blaming consumers for declining record sales. Vinyl records, the battle for sound supremacy. Vinyl, with its rich analog warmth, was once the king of music formats. Yet big music companies soon pushed the narrative that cassettes were more convenient, and later, that CDs were superior. Some fans claim these labels spun marketing propaganda to phase out vinyl, forcing retailers to stock the new formats. Nostalgic baby boomers remember how entire vinyl collections were nearly tossed aside, only to see a vinyl resurgence decades later, highlighting the possibility that the vinyl is dead story was more corporate ploy than public demand. Arcade culture, demonized for corrupting youth moving on from music. Arcades were another hotspot for social bonding. Coin-operated machines that devoured quarters as quickly as they delivered pixelated thrills. Yet some local communities saw them as seedy hangouts. Whispers abounded of backroom gambling or kids skipping class to waste pocket change. But was it real concern or a marketing push by at-home console makers looking to profit from parents' fears? No one can say for sure. Boomers, however, recall the tug of war. Arcades offered freedom and fun, while the media labeled them dangerous. The Beatles and the British invasion, hidden sabotage? It's no secret the Beatles exploded onto the scene. But behind the mania, stories swirled that certain American record producers feared losing control and money to British labels. Rumor has it that some radio DJs faced threats if they promoted British rock too heavily, with claims that local artists needed protection from the wave of imported tunes. Whether fact or fiction, it shows how potent the era's musical revolution was, leaving baby boomers with a front row seat to changing cultural tides. Technology was roaring ahead, but so were the household staples you might not suspect had hidden stories. That's where things get deeper. Boomer consumer habits and marketing mysteries. Green stamps, the original loyalty battle. Who would have thought small green squares of paper could spark so much excitement? Baby boomers diligently collected these stamps during grocery runs and gas station stops, then painstakingly pasted them into booklets. The big question, did anyone suspect hidden marketing deals fueling the stamp craze? Some recall rumors that store chains locked in exclusive contracts, pushing smaller shops out of the game. True or not, it's clear those stamps made shopping feel like a treasure hunt. But the abrupt disappearance of these programs left people wondering whether new corporate loyalty cards quietly took their place. Phone books, the social media of their time. Believe it or not, the hefty printed phone book once reigned supreme for connecting with friends or local businesses. Just flip pages, find a name, and call. End of story. Except it wasn't that simple. Some suspect big advertisers paid for prime placements and bolder fonts, so the local plumber or diner either had to cough up cash or get lost among pages of competition. Although times changed and Google replaced phone books, older rumors persist. Did those bulky directories pay phone companies more than we realized? Traveler checks, early security, or early scam? Before credit cards became universal, traveler checks were the safest way to roam. Lose one, and it could be replaced. It sounds like a perfect system, but behind that convenience, critics whispered that banks made a killing on conversion fees and delayed reimbursements. Baby boomers who traveled overseas sometimes mentioned waiting days for replacements, days that hotels and shops lost revenue while banks raked in interest. Coincidence or a shrewd profit model? Milk delivery, pushed out by supermarkets. A clink of bottles on the doorstep was once a comforting sound, heralding fresh milk and a friendly wave from the milkman. Then it vanished. Some say the shift to big grocery chains spelled doom, offering milk cheaper in plastic jugs than small delivery services could manage. Others suspect advanced refrigeration tech allowed dairies to expand and undercut the local milkman. Either way, baby boomers watched a beloved ritual fade almost overnight. Transition. Next came massive upheavals in media, where radio, vinyl, and cassettes faced new corporate battles. And that's where more controversies surfaced. Quietly controversial lifestyles and traditions. Postcards and private mail. Were people spying on them? Sending postcards was a casual way to share travel highlights, often featuring scenic views or quirky jokes. However, some folks whispered that nosy neighbors, or even postal workers, might read them, given the exposed text. A few suspicious souls claimed local officials occasionally flipped through postcards to keep tabs on newcomers or track folks traveling to certain areas. Did that really happen, or was it just paranoia? We may never know for sure, but the possibility added a layer of intrigue to an otherwise wholesome tradition. Sunday morning cartoons. The network tug-of-war kids lazed around in pajamas, flipping channels between animated favorites. Meanwhile, networks fought tooth and nail for those prime Sunday slots. While many recall the cartoons fondly, there's talk that some big networks elbowed out smaller studios, buying up entire blocks of airtime to dominate the kids' market. The abrupt shifts in scheduling or the quick cancellation of beloved shows often led viewers to suspect that whichever network had deeper pockets got the final say. Either way, it shaped the routine of countless families, forging memories and a bit of corporate drama. Jell-O dishes, from elite quirk to 1950s. Curiosity, Jell-O recipes look innocent enough, but behind the shimmering molds, some boomer households battled a mild form of recipe rivalry. One neighbor might brag about layering vegetables and meats in gelatin, while another showcased a rainbow dessert ring. People have joked that these questionable combos were the result of heavy marketing by gelatin brands, pushing families to believe that everything tastes better in Jell-O. A cynical perspective says those companies capitalized on the 50s obsession with convenience foods, making bizarre creations seem modern and sophisticated. But hey, if baby boomers enjoyed it, who's to judge? Beyond food and family customs, entire social movements bubbled up in the boomer era. A few of those stories remain overshadowed by bigger historical events. Let's dig in. The final snapshot and lingering mysteries. Film cameras, lost reels and private moments. Film cameras forced people to value each shot. No retakes, no immediate review. But some boomer families claim entire rolls disappeared at local photo labs, especially if they contained sensitive images. Whether it was a personal mishap or something more sinister, many photos never made it home. That rumor alone gave these cameras a mystique. Each click held the risk of losing precious memories to a lab worker's slip-up or, as some suspect, prying eyes. Ham radios. Underground communication? Finally, consider ham radio operators, a subculture bridging states and even continents. The official story is that they offered a hobby for enthusiasts to chat about everything from weather to hobbies. Behind the scenes, though, rumors suggested certain groups used ham frequencies for coded messages or hidden agendas. Did the government ever eavesdrop? Possibly. Baby boomers who engaged in late-night radio sessions say they occasionally stumbled across cryptic transmissions. Maybe it was just harmless experimentation, but the cloak and dagger vibe remains part of ham radio lore. From the spirited drive-ins and soda shops that faded into oblivion, to the hush-hush controversies behind cassettes, Jell-O molds, and corporate power plays, these boomer memories reveal a complex era that was anything but simple. So which detail surprised you the most? Share your thoughts down in the comments. If you're a boomer, what secrets did we miss? If you're not, which bit of lost history blew your mind? Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more unsung stories of bygone days, and keep your eyes peeled. There's a lot more to uncover. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the biggest secrets hide in the most familiar places.